A History of the Amhara and Ethiopia, a revision of unpopular truths and incidents of history. According to Ethiopian history and classics such as The Abyssinians by David Buxton, a Cambridge University researcher who traveled to Ethiopia during World War II, the Amhara are an ancient Ethio-Semitic people who are settled agriculturalists of the Ethiopian plateau, living mainly in the highland regions, but also throughout the nation. On page 27 of the Abyssinians, David Buxton relates that the Amhara, along with the other Abyssinians, are the ones who share the traditions of the Aksum kingdom. The Amhara have inhabited the plateau conventionally for 3,000 years. Amharic, the language of the Amhara, is the official language of Ethiopia. Amharic became the official language of the Old Ethiopian Empire in the 13th century when Yukunno Amlak became emperor in 1270 AD and moved the capital to Tuglat in Shoa, today's alleged Amhara and Oromia region, which then was inhabited by the Amhara, stated on the New International Encyclopedia, Volume 7, page 248. Aksum remained the city where the kings were crowned at the time, and Gi'iz remained the language of books and of the church. Amharic is a South Semitic language either descended from Gi'iz or related to Gi'iz, as well as to the Ethio-Semitic languages, Arabic, Hebrew, and Aramaic. But according to Wolf Leslow, the late professor emeritus at UCLA, a scholar of Semitic languages and one of the foremost authorities on the study, and Dr. Girma Demeka, among the most closely related languages to Amharic and Gi'iz is Akkadian, an ancient Near Eastern language which was spoken in Mesopotamia in modern-day Iraq and Syria 5,000 years ago. This points to the little understood, mysterious, and ancient history of the Amhara and related people. The predominant religion of the Amhara is Orthodox Christianity, the state religion of Aksum, but Islam and Judaism are also practiced by the Amhara. Prior to the introduction of Orthodox Christianity from the 1st to the 4th centuries AD, and Aksum was declared a Christian state by Emperor Ezana, the ancient Hebraic faith that developed into Judaism was practiced by the Amhara and other Aksumites of Ethiopia for conventionally 1,000 years, since the time of King Solomon and the Queen of Sheba, whose descendants the Amhara rulers are, according to oral and written tradition. An Islamic dynasty that founded its own kingdom based on the claim of descent from the Muslim prophet Muhammad, or one of his family members, had also thrived in Ifat and Shoa following the disintegration of the Aksum Empire, as Muslims sought refuge in the Christian Empire due to persecution by the Quraysh in Arabia in the 7th century at the birth of Islam. After the 10th century fall of the Aksumite Empire, which was said to be among the 4 greatest empires of the globe in its heyday, including Persia, China, and Rome, by influential and renowned philosophers such as Manichaeus, the 3,500-year ascendancy of the Zagwe dynasty of the Ago, a people related to the Amhara, took place. The Ago rulers are known for their particular piety and their remarkable monuments of an underground city entirely hewn out of solid rock. St. George at Lalibela is the most famous example of these remarkable rulers of the fallen empire are said to have fled from the northern Aksum city southward to Shoa. The 13th century emperor Yukunno Amlak, who claimed descent from the last ruler of Aksum, was enthroned in the attempt of restoring the previous paternal line of rulers. Yukunno Amlak and his successors became to be known as the Amhara emperors of Ethiopia. Amhara became the geographical and political center of the Orthodox Christian Empire under Yukunno Amlak. With the Amhara king's ascendancy came what is known as the Golden Era of Ethiopic or Gi'iz literature. in the 13th and 14th centuries through the 16th century. Albert Gerard's African Language Literatures on page 8 reads that 1270, when Yukuno Amlak mounted the throne, is when the golden age of Giz literature began. Remarkable and almost surreal constructions, like those of the Zagwe's rock-hewn monuments, also took place during the reign of Yukuno Amlak's successors. For instance, as recorded in the Futuh al-Habasha, which was an account of the 16th century war between the Christian Empire of Ethiopia and forces backing the Adol Sultanate, Emperor Naod had built a church or temple known as Makana Selassie, made entirely of gold, that was looted and burned down by the invading forces. The source relates that it had taken him 13 years to build it, and that upon dying, his son Libna Dingle had continued its construction. The passage in the Futuh al-Habasha on pages 220 and 221, and then 240 through 247 reads, "There was a church in Amhara that had no peer in Abyssinia. King Naod, the father of King Wenagsega, Ate Libna Dingle's crown name that is, had built it. He exhausted himself in its construction, in its planning, and in every detail of the work. He adorned it with gold and spent 13 years in its construction. His son took over its construction after him. It was entirely plated in gold leaf. It blazed like a fire. The king named it Makana Selassie, the sepulchre of King Naod. Bin Admas, bin Zera Yaakov is inside the church. Amhara has other churches in it that belonged to earlier kings, but a construction like this church was not to be found." The recollection of their journey to Amhara, which is a region of flat arable land, standing crops, rivers, and copious rain of wheat and barley. In it are their scribes, their priests, and monks. It is also the residence of their kings. But the king does not reside there permanently. No king who reigns over Abyssinia can exercise his rule unless he has been enthroned